Make sure one thing.
Where you going, Keita?
Right here. Right here, plug in. And we live. And we live. And we live. And we live. Just want to say a pleasant good night to everybody.
Me, that's it.
Just want to say
Yeah,
good night to everybody.
little break out there.
Yeah, it's you stick up. My hair moving, but you stick up. But
What's going on? What's going on?
we gonna work. We gonna work. We gonna work. All right.
Yeah, keep it moving, brother. You can hear me properly and everything, right?
Yeah, we plug in. Yeah. So
Very
good night,
good.
everybody. I want to say a special good night. Welcome to this week's episode of the UpInsideYuh podcast with me, your boy
Up
Kita,
inside you.
Kita 246. My boy Ness and Chad Share. My man on the background making it all happen. Ramal, right? Hope push
Big up
repeat. You know how
Ramal.
we do it.
Big up Ramal.
Yeah. For sure, for sure. So this week's episode, we are discussing the reopening of the country. Um,
Yeah.
I know everybody has some pretty mixed views on it, and I
Yeah.
really want the folks really to weigh in and say what's their take on it. I know what my take is on it, and I have my questions in certain aspects. But for
Mm-hmm.
your sake, guys, good night. And
Yeah.
what's your take, bro?
Well, before we even get there, I got a special folk song by the late great Marlo Lord that I want to start replaying. It's called Rice Bar.
Race Barbados.
It wasn't easy coming from the bottom. You better find your way at the top. Rise, Las Barbados. Yeah, don't stop. And we done with that here. My take on this is this evening. I want everybody to be as interactive as possible. This is obviously a topic that we could not quote unquote prepare for with facts and figures because it is something that is very new to the island. It's actually never happened in, I think, the history of Barbados, to be honest, opening after a pandemic. So reopening after a pandemic, actually.
Reopening. Yeah.
So everything is basically going to be opinionated. It's going to be based on how you feel, how I feel, how we all feel as a society. There's really no right way or wrong way to approach this particular subject. So we definitely want everybody to chip in. Let us know in the comment section how you feel about it, and let me just get started with this thing. But for me personally, I still undecided, Kita. I still a little
You want to say
indecisive about the entire thing.
Just
Yeah.
got it. You want to
Yeah,
say
well,
that?
listen, but there's the thing. Some people will believe that it's too early. Some people
Yeah.
believe that we can open and do what we need to do.
Mm.
I say that I on the fence about this one. Usually I the fella that I is either choose a side. But this
Yeah.
particular one, I really on the fence because we can't say yes, it is too soon because we just actually got quote unquote COVID free, and I put that air quotes. And
Mm.
we sacrificed a lot. We definitely were made privy to some changes and some rules that we never ever had to go through ever in the
Yeah.
history of Barbados. So it was very
Honestly.
difficult to go through those particular protocols for our own personal safety. And then now we're looking to reopen to the wider world where we know that they don't have it under control. Like for example, the United States, every day we're hearing like over 5,000 cases a day recorded, and then kind of spikes, right? So it's very scary revert to what we were in before. But
Correct.
then there's the other side where Barbados is a very tourism dependent country.
Correct.
And we do need people coming in and people getting involved with the island in order for us to generate income and for the economy actually to balance itself out. I know that whenever next the central bank brings out an economic outlook, I don't think that it can look too pretty because as short as that time was that we were on lockdown, it was
Yeah,
still a very long time for a struggling, developing country.
yeah. Because
So
if you look
there,
at the bigger countries and all the larger companies that have shut down and so on
right,
because of COVID, and how much branches of certain things shut down, it show you a true idea of what is in store in the future. Me personally am not like I'm 50-50 too because I ain't sure
uh-huh,
exactly how this can actually impact us financially, but at the same
right,
time, tourism is, as you grow up and hear, tourism is key, and it's significant because, for instance, like I took a look at the dates and so on, the country can reopen, right? For instance, on the 12th we reopened into Canada, right? So we get a flight once a week on Thursdays and Sundays
yeah, yeah,
from Canada. So sorry, twice a week, Thursdays and Sundays from Canada, Air Canada. Then we open it on the 18th to British Airways, and we're looking at Gatwick, and that's once a
mm,
week at the moment, right? On the
right,
25th of
right,
July,
right.
that's when the real test coming from, which is the US, which is JetBlue. JetBlue from New York. That
All
is
right.
a big test.
So
And wait, there's even more on the
okay,
5th of
uh-huh,
August, right?
uh-huh,
This is the hardest one for
yeah.
me is 5th of August, Miami. Yeah, American Airlines is then coming back
Oh
from
my
Miami.
gosh.
And Miami right now getting through what are getting through.
Yeah,
And they were actually supposed to be
yeah,
the first persons to come to Barbados. They were originally then was supposed to come on the 12th. They were supposed to come on the 12th and
uh-huh,
sorry, 2nd of July, sorry. And they probably missed out a pick back based on that. But I mean,
yeah, definitely.
it's tough. Um,
Uh-huh.
I really not sure what is my take on it. I mean, I know they got protocols in place, but
Mm-hmm.
they're the way that this virus is detected and not detected is my biggest fear based on these protocols.
Right. Well, this is my thing. When you mentioned that we were considering the possibility of reopening to Miami, that in itself was a bit reckless in my opinion because Miami was one of the first states in the United States that
Yeah,
that began acting like if COVID was no longer an issue because certain curfews were disposed of.
yeah,
Even though here in Barbados, yes, we had a stage two process and a stage three process of curfews being lifted or being eased or whatever the case may be, we still as a community were responsible. We still were taking the threat seriously. But
yeah.
I remember seeing videos of under like basement parties in Miami. Like you would not believe nobody wearing a mask, nobody social
Prisoner,
distancing. So
prisoner.
basically the United States is looking like the irresponsible child on the playground, so to speak. Because Canada, and I could tell you this, the Prime Minister had to actually write a letter to Mr. Trudeau
Uh-huh.
regarding access back to Canada to and from because Canada's borders are still closed and they're close to the United States especially. And then I also
So,
learned that the
which
UK
is
is
understandable.
carrying the same type of vibe towards the United States because like I said, the United States is being very childish in my opinion about the way that they are dealing with the things and how they're enforcing people
Well,
to really
yeah,
deal
because
with the
if
protocols.
you say A, you can say B because, like, for instance, in the US, like when they had the rioting and so on for the Black Lives Matter, you see how few
Yeah.
people were actually wearing masks, right? A lot of people were wearing
Right.
masks, and we knew that
Uh-huh.
that was spread like welfare, and we knew that the figures that they projected were not the true figures. So basically,
Right.
like, all right, you ain't testing anybody, so obviously the figures ain't gonna increase if you're not testing anyone. So now
Right.
when people start getting tested and what's not, and we see a whole high number going up to, it is actually worrisome. So what I
Right.
did today, right? Well, I was thinking like, because it was bothering me last night. I agree. I thought about the borders opening back and the impact that it can have on Barbadians as it is because everybody here is saying technically no. Oh, we got zero people. We still wearing masks. We taking it easy. People want to go back outside and relax and enjoy themselves
Right.
and have
And
a
get
nice
partying and that sort of thing.
and we ain't got no crop over, but we want to enjoy ourselves. We working hard. This is the toughest year for some people.
Yeah.
And
Right.
people
It
want to
is.
do it, but at the same time, when the borders open back, the procedures and stuff that are getting put in place are very, 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 very tight. Like there's no
Stringent.
room, there's no room for errors in these procedures. So it's like you have to
Uh-huh.
get it right every single time. And even there, it will be some situations where you may get it right, but it still might not turn out like how you expected it because of
Right.
how difficult it is in some aspects to track this virus.
Yeah. Well, the fact of the matter is that when we look at it, it's not like we are going to be seeing like maybe 50 people walking through the airport. This we can start to see hundreds of people, Peter. And the reality is that you have to be realistic. You can't expect that people won't find loopholes or something won't come back as negative, but then it turns out that it was actually positive. And because we are humans, we make mistakes. We have an error system within us that it is not quantifiable. It just happens. And the
Yeah,
reality is, I personally feel as if this entire year should have been scrapped, in my opinion, in terms of travel.
you, you want to write it
But
off.
the reality is, we gotta look at the reality. We are a small island. We are dependent on these bigger countries
Foreign
traveling to
exchange.
us to
Yeah,
spend their money and create
yeah,
foreign exchange for us, because unfortunately we don't manufacture anything. We don't create cars. We don't
right.
create anything other than rum. So rum is not enough to sustain
The
this
whole
island
country.
and
Yeah,
its bills. So we have to reopen. This is a reality. This is a harsh reality because, but what I like too about our people is the fact that we are still practicing social distancing. We still practicing the sanitizing of
as we
hands. We
should.
still practicing the wearing of masks. So even when these people start to come in, it is going to even further enforce what it is we are already doing on a day-to-day basis. Because if it was that the prime minister got on the radio, not radio, the TV has said, oh yeah, we COVID free, so I want to go back to normal. It will be very difficult for people to then revert to wearing masks, sanitizing their hands, and social distancing after a prolonged period of time. It's like when you work for a whole year and you get 2 weeks vacation, and then you go back to the job, you don't know how to get the job done. It's like that. So we have to recognize that these protocols need to continue, and if anything, we actually need to enforce them a little stronger, because it is going to get a lot more treacherous going forward when we reopen our borders to these bigger countries that we depend on for foreign exchange because of tourism. So there was something that I
But here's the
wanted
thing,
to
right?
highlight.
But
Go
the thing
ahead, go
is,
ahead.
right? The thing is, right? Like, all right, the protocols and stuff put in place, right?
Uh,
For instance, like they didn't really. I didn't take, or I'm not sure if anybody in the comments know if there is a date for Caribbean travel, which is technically deemed low risk, right?
uh-huh.
But for instance, from like the countries that we've been pretty much exposed to, though, going forward with the flights coming in from the 12th. For instance, like Canada, I looked at their rates and how much deaths they had and so on. And that could be very depressing to look at the death
Yeah.
rate and so on. But at the same time, all right, for instance, when you come in from Canada to the Barbados, right, you might understand that the process is 72 hours prior to your travel, you're supposed to get a test, right?
Right.
Basically, if you don't get a test, you're supposed to be tested at the Grand Island International Airport, right?
Uh-huh.
So the testing and what you go through is important, but I try to figure out what is the middle ground of what the tests are going to be like. So you can get tests in Canada, you can get on the plane, you got to wear your mask the whole flight, you got to wash your hands
Yeah.
well before you go on flight, wear your mask the whole flight. But at the same time, like if you test positive or if you test negative there and you get here and your symptoms technically a little different or change, what is going to happen? So based on what the government has put out in their guidelines and so on that I would have shared with you earlier the week and so on, it says that you're gonna walk through this machine that they have I guess brought in that's supposed to do
Uh-huh.
like an instant scan or whatever. If
Mhm.
at that time you're gonna be quarantined for 24 hours, right? Um, After that 24 hours, then is there another test that you have to go through if your conditions remain the same or if they differ? Or like I a little clueless, and I really trying to get some help in that gray area for me.
Yeah, yeah. I was trying to get some feedback from some people who would be more privy to the information. But truth be told, it is being kept close to the chest regarding what you have just said, because basically what you said was what was sent out in the little pamphlet, allowing
Yeah,
people to know how the protocols, how the moves going forward are, and how we are welcoming and reopening the borders to the outside world. And it is very, to be honest, it felt kind of short. If that makes sense to you, to me,
yeah,
it didn't feel as if we
yeah.
had like these really specific things going on that every
Oh,
aspect and every issue and every contingency plan could be recognized in the event. Or so in the event this happens, this is the contingency. Blah 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 blah. It was more like, okay, if the person tests negative, then this happens. If the person tests positive, this happens. If the person refuses to take the test before departing their country, this happens. So to me, that's just like a very superficial point of view. It's not very detailed. It's not very specific about how they would go about containing this issue in the event. Now, let's say somebody's test came back negative, but then it was some kind of mix up and it was actually positive, but that person was allowed to go and mingle in the community, the society of Barbados. How are we going to deal with something like that? You know what
maybe
I'm
as it
saying?
pertains to like
So
contact tracing and that sort of thing.
right. So there was nothing that was explained in totality about that. But I do understand that we could possibly think about every problem from A to Z, and then you're still gonna get a unique scenario that you
Right,
could not have
like
prepared for,
so.
and then you gotta just be on the
So,
fly, work on the
so
fly.
I see someone in chat had mentioned earlier that the NAS ain't got us our money, so we definitely got to reopen. That's another force my hands to our
Yeah,
situation because you
right,
can't pay everybody unemployment for all this thing. Whenever unemployment done, what we can do?
right, right. So, I mean, yet again, it comes down to the reality check that we do need to reopen the island because capital needs to be, foreign exchange needs to be plugged back into the society.
Right.
Because look at the
So
fact, I just even saw Janine. Good night, Janine.
yeah,
Sign into the chat, and Janine is a part of the hotel industry, and
I
that
know
is an
you know,
industry that
and
has
that's
right
what I just was going to
and
ask you about.
right, and
And
that has come to a complete halt at this point in time. So there's still got a lot of people who are not working, or if they are working, they're not being paid the entire amount, obviously, because the people can't afford to pay the regular salaries.
which is
You were about
understandable.
to say something.
No, I
Yeah.
was saying as it pertains to the hotel sector, we gotta look at how much people right now are jobless or not making
Right.
money based on the fact that the airport is shut. So we could look at hotels,
Right.
we could look at
Hmm.
catamarans,
Right.
we could look at all sorts of different sectors, even the red caps,
Yeah,
the
the guys,
airport,
well,
the
the guys,
airlines.
right, right. And no again, said tell you so, but even the fellas that work the airport, they can't be working right now. They gonna be
Exactly.
home.
And they got families, everybody
And
got families.
Jonathan is actually an individual that works at the international airport, and
Mm-hmm.
I remember having a conversation with him, and he was stating that it was July, then no, it was pushed back to September. I know even Jonathan is saying taxi man out of work too, because
Yeah,
there's only
because
so many places that locals want to go. You know what I'm saying?
correct. And rental companies, you name it, and it
Right,
trickling down. And it can all
right,
trickle down
yeah,
to the
definitely.
so we see businesses craze. Well, we talk about it, I guess, in a short term loss. We see some craze for help from particular businesses where they're offering special rates to locals and what's not to try to make up for the shortfall. But inevitably, based on COVID, things are going to go way left, and we can't just sit around here and say, well, we can wait till the world ease up because no one knows when the world can technically ease up or things can be
Right.
different. The world will never be the same again. That's my interpretation. The world will never
Yeah.
be the same again.
I
So
agree with you there 100%. I agree with you 100% there because This is an unprecedented situation that has cascaded across the world. It's something
Mm-hmm.
that we have never seen. We've never seen before. Lamel is saying taxi men want to charge $30 from town to Warren's era. Well,
But
I
that's the
don't
thing.
I don't yeah I don't know what is considered a fair taxi fare, to be honest, because
Well,
as a local I never really used to use the taxi, so I don't know what that would be. We have to
well,
learn to live with it.
I can say that
What
that
are you
doesn't
talking
sound.
about,
I
Jonathan?
I can say it don't sound fair, but at the same time, a lot of taxi men on decline right now. Most taxi men in
Uh-huh.
Barbados don't own the vehicles that they drive. Most of them lease the
Oh,
vehicles from someone and go pay the person
wait,
weekly.
you
So
see now, wait, you see
you
now,
know,
you giving me some information that I mean, yes, it's something that I would have known or heard of, but I wasn't thinking about it from that perspective, But
yeah.
I guess based off of what we are seeing here right now, it is safe to say that we got open. Like they're really in it two ways about it. We got open
Yeah,
this place because when you think about it, players like the not USA, the UK and Canada
yeah,
have the economic growth and power as well as influence to state we are not opening our borders to XYZ people because we see a responsibility in your communities, we see a responsibility in your countries, and we are not exposing our own to that. And they have the economic power to do those things. But unfortunately, Barbados does not. So we ain't got that kind of size or playership to force bigger countries into submission. You know what I
correct,
mean? We answer to them, they don't answer to us. So the
correct.
reality is that's also another dynamic. You gotta remember the IMF gave us a whole bunch of money the other day for the election and everything when the prime minister went forward for the consolidation of things. And if the USA says you guys are gonna open XYZ time, you better believe that XYZ time is the time, but we're gonna open. So don't even fool your foot. You had said something
Actually,
about the
I want to address
destined.
a comment. I want to address a comment I just seen in the chat
Okay,
too,
go ahead.
where
I let me
where
write it
someone
down so I don't forget.
says there's actually there's a document that gives the fares that are supposed to be charged, but most don't follow it. So you think about that
Oh,
document,
whoa!
right? You
I
think about
did
that
not know
document.
that.
Well, it depends because it depends on if it's like a airport tax or seaport tax because there's a document that is published that is for
Mhm.
individuals from the airport to anywhere in Barbados, and that's for the airport taxis to follow. Then there's a document from the seaport, and that's for the seaport
Mhm.
taxis to follow. But the average taxi man on the road who's
Right.
not working from
Right.
these areas, or for instance, some hotels have documents that are set prices from a hotel to any area, and that's the hotel rate, and that's what you all work with. But if you get the
Mhm.
average taxi man on the streets who don't have
Right.
who just hustling or whatever trying to get around,
Right. Right.
he
Right.
could call for whatever number you want. So
Okay.
if you go in town and you good right there opposite Damon's down in Bottom Broad Street and you talk to one of the tax men on there, you call, ask them this and that, they gonna call a figure. They're in a document there that I can see
Mhm.
that they can
Right.
charge you. They can estimate a price or you are reasoning with them to see what's the best price you could be in, don't you? But that's tough.
Right.
But you know,
So
but
is either you take it or you leave it.
yeah, what I was saying before, as it pertains to the airport, is like the testing that's done at airport. It
Mhm.
it is an interesting process to put it out there because like you could test and decide that you're gonna reside in quarantine with the government, which is free. You know, it's not.
Uh huh.
Or you can test and reside at I can't remember how you use a very fancy word for it.
You in a hotel or something.
A satellite testing hotel, not a hotel, a
Right.
satellite
A
testing
satellite testing
hotel,
hotel.
right?
Okay.
But
Okay.
for $300, right? For that
Right.
24 hours for $300. So
150 US dollars, sir.
sorry, 150 US
Yeah.
dollars.
US dollars.
But but the thing is, well, doing all this is like it is costly and it has to be a cost to Barbados as from front end and the government to do all these tests. Like these
Of
tests ain't
course.
free. This It might be free
Yeah,
to the passenger, but
the purchasing of the test is not the purchasing of the testing
not
kits
free.
are not free.
Not free at
So
all.
so I don't know where they're getting this from when it is that, in the initial stages it was very difficult to acquire them. You remember the states was actually taking away or confiscating people's respirators and
Yeah,
testing kits and all kind of things. So where the
this is
sudden
crazy.
influx of these tests now come from? You know what I mean? But I tell you that the United States is acting like a bully, acting like a child on a playground that just want the ball for themselves. You know what I'm saying? They
Fair enough.
are a powerhouse. They are a bully. So, and even to go a step further to something that we really sometimes don't even think about. If the place don't reopen, like you gotta
Mm.
remember, their embassy is gonna be closed. So that means then that the persons who are here that are obviously of U.S. citizenship, as well as this fact that get attaining visas is a money venture for them,
Yeah.
because that's how I see it. It's definitely something
I
that's
wouldn't
plugged
say
money
that,
into
but
their.
yeah. Mm.
Well, I looking at it from a
But
civilian point of view. You understand? I know you might have information or knowledge that I may not necessarily have, but for me, I see it as like something that pulls money away from the island into their economy as well. Because you gotta remember, it's not only the Barbadians that go to that embassy, other
yeah,
Caribbeaners that
yeah.
don't have embassies in their
Yeah, I know. I know
territories
very
come
well.
here.
I know very
So
well.
so to be honest, it's something that I believe is just one of those things that is like is a money thing.
And it,
So
and if and I know the percentage of people that go to the embassy or whatever that get declined is really high. That's the sad thing
yeah,
about it. But yeah,
uh-huh.
so I actually didn't even think of it from that perspective from the U.S. embassy end. But I was thinking more. I was just maybe focusing on like foreign exchange. So like
Uh-huh.
how we can actually make money if our hotels and our sectors of that area are not operated. I mean, I know a lot of
Hmm.
people that home hotel. My mother is working at a hotel. You know what I mean? My mother at home since March,
Right.
and
Right.
that is rough. And for these
It
people,
is.
you can't afford or rely on NAS. Some people only get two checks so far, and they're home for 4 months. You know what I mean? So it
Right.
is tough, and you at the mercy of the NAS of when you get your money. So I ain't saying that the people like NAS ain't busy, because I know they're gonna be real busy right now. All this stuff going on, people gonna be confusing them, calling it 24/7, and ringing off the
Hmm.
ears based on everything that's
Right.
going on. People want the money, but at the same time, um, we have to make some effort to open back. I know it might be
Yeah.
difficult. I know it might be difficult, and they got certain
No, it might
aspects.
be. It can be difficult. It definitely can be
Well,
difficult.
it's always difficult at the beginning with the adapting phase, but I believe that
Right.
after a period of time of us following these protocols, we will get accustomed to them,
Yeah.
as things hopefully ease up at some point in time. But at the moment, I know it has to be difficult to adapt to these new conditions. But my heart goes out to hotel workers and people in the tourism sector, whether
Hmm.
it be the airport, the taxi guys, taxi drivers, the folks that work at the hotels, the catamaran folks, the
Right.
folks that work at the tour companies and so on. But it is difficult because these people are home, and hotels
But
right now.
Peter,
I ain't care what
go ahead.
staycation special. I ain't care what staycation special that people give you, regardless of
Mhm.
the amount or what's not. They cannot sustain on staycation specials alone.
Yeah, of course not. I mean, but in any case, what average Bajan got money for staycations at this point in time? We already got money for these supermarkets, bro. So, as you said, that is like, I guess that is something to spark a restart in a sense for the hotel industry. But as you said, it is not sustainable because families barely, as you said, barely get two checks for over 4 months. So, how
Yeah.
can people sustain a household and
Mm-hmm.
then also inject it into a hotel industry?
Correct.
And
But
definitely,
recall over is a good point. We need to look also as well outside of the
Shit.
U.S. as it pertains to tourism. I know I'm not saying that the
Uh-huh.
U.S. is not a prime place for tourism, but we got to focus
Hmm.
on maybe the European market, the Asian market. These are markets based for tourism because, like, Look at the US right now. Let's say that we didn't open back to the US right now, right? Based on their high
Uh-huh.
risk nature right now, right? How are we targeting the other territories as we should? Like the most tourists that come to Barbados usually come from the US. Then it's followed by the English, then it's Canada and so on. But we need to break that cycle. We need to even the playing field, we need to market more in areas outside of the US. Yeah, the US is growing and whatnot, but we can't be going but it's good that
I
we
like I
that we're
like
looking back to Canada. But
yes, it is true that we need to tell. That is something that I don't think Barbados has control over. That would be more like an airline type of territory.
uh,
Yes, we can try to
yeah,
find ways to make ourselves more marketable in terms of price ranges and affordability and that sort of thing. And I all for it. I think if wanna learn anything about me is that I am for the indigenous nature of our country. And
yeah, and
Rico made a very good point about we offering people Italian food as opposed to the local dishes. This is something that we always talk about, where everything for Barbadian tourism should be indigenous to Barbados. I don't see why that even people like farmers and stuff that's be crying out that nobody is purchasing their stock.
so
As far as I'm
but,
concerned,
but
they should be the
recall
first people that we go to.
and
And
Jonathan,
then,
Jonathan don't raise the point. Jonathan don't raise the point there.
uh,
Sorry to cut it off, but Jonathan don't raise the point
yeah,
that with regards to Chinese market, like there are some people in China I've never even heard of Barbados or even seen a black person. And those are
uh,
markets that we should be really looking to target. Rico also know made a point which plays back into what we were speaking about before of Barbados not exporting things, manufacturing things, and he spoke about medical marijuana. And I mean that
uh-huh.
was on my mind mostly today,
But
and
bro,
well, maybe just
bro,
marijuana, but medical marijuana was part of what I was
yeah,
talking
but
about today.
bro, let me tell you something. Let me say something to you and the whole of UpInsideYuh right now. You see, um, that medical marijuana or the actual production of marijuana situation. I
Yeah.
can guarantee you. I don't know anybody in these circles because I'm not one of those people. As an average civilian, just like anybody else in this chat here right now. But I can almost guarantee you that whenever marijuana becomes a portion of our GDP, and it becomes something that people can get involved in terms of producing and manufacturing and reselling
Exporting.
to
Yeah.
overseas places. It is going to be for the people who have money, for the people who have land, for the people who have access to startup capital that they can go on a big scale.
So
Because
so what you're
look at
saying
it
is
this
that
way, because
the
when
average
they
black man ain't
listen,
getting money from it.
of course not. Of course not, Peter. If the average man was always allowed to get himself out of a situation, more things will be in place for people to be rising up out of poverty, though. The reason why that Barbados is still behind on medical marijuana being allowed, as Jamaica done legalize it, Trinidad done decriminalize it, it is because they have to put things in place that when it does roll out, it is way above the average Joe's ability to attain licensing, to attain whatever, in order to be a part of that market. I want to hear it here first. When I gotta take my word for it. Just wait until the day comes that it happens. And I want to say something else too. Last night I was watching the news, and I saw Wilfred Abrams talking about the headline, the caption for his statement was Barbados Light and Power monopoly coming to an end, because he was saying something about that they are going to be allowing people to create and generate electricity in the island, and then they will become a player, and the monopoly of that will no longer be belong to Barbados Light and Power. But it says Barbados Light and Power monopoly comes to an end, and then my man said, "Oh, well the distribution, I think Barbados Light and Power are still going to be holding the monopoly on that." I believe it. So you just not say that again. So how they still holding the monopoly, and the caption says that it's supposed to come to an end. Well, it's like the people just joking shit and remote and telling me that it's Charlotte Big Man. And I can tell you straight who it is that's the person that's going to spearhead that situation that is going to be quote unquote end of monopoly. It's going to be the Williams family, because I have seen Williams creating the the what you call them, the farms, the solar farms. There's a solar farm in what's that place? Clifton Hill. There's one that just opposite BRC, coming from where you call there now, the hill. Where you call that hill there now? The name here beating me. It'd be terrible when it comes to names or roads.
You're trying to tell you what you mean.
My when you coming from Saint from Leicester
Short Hill?
Secondary School, Shop Hill,
Mm.
There's one right there. If you know where the Limitless Performance, which is the CrossFit place, on your
Yeah.
right hand side, and you
I know
go
what you mean.
towards
I know what you
the
mean.
right. As soon as you go left before you get to exactly opposite BRC, there's a solar farm there as well. And you seeing the big sign on it, Williams Industry. So all of these things has come down to a lot of scratch you back and I scratch yours and all of that stuff. There's no space for the
Mm.
regular average Joe within these situations. We are always given this narrative that yes, things are going to change and things are going to become a lot. We can have an even playing ground. We can got a fair playing field, but that's really and truly not how it works. So
Well,
I won't really
I
hold
mean,
most to the medical marijuana
but
field other than to continue to perpetuate who already has the money in this country.
well, medical marijuana, even outside of medical marijuana, other places have legalized marijuana for personal use, and
Right.
they have created their personal strains of marijuana and are making profits from it. I mean, you even look in the U.S. and even in Jamaica, where people have their own strains that they ship out and so on, and it's interesting to see how it's taxed and how much money you can make from it as an alternative. But outside of marijuana, there are other ways of manufacturing and exporting stuff outside of in Barbados outside. So we
Uh-huh.
don't only have to look at marijuana. We can look at in other areas where we can export on a bigger scale. But we just
Yeah.
focus on tourism, and that's why we in the position we in right now, where the
Yeah.
airport is shut down. We have no income of
Uh-huh.
foreign exchange, and in that regard, trading to Barbados, we are in a pickle because we can't export anything at the moment.
But
No,
let me be honest
no,
with you. Oh, okay, go ahead. Sorry about that.
no. You go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh, what I was gonna say is we are currently are always in a place where that we are behind the curve. We are not having innovative thinking. We are having or not having proactive thinking. We are having reactive thinking.
Correct.
Because like let me show you a prime example of reactive thinking. You remember behind Huddersfield turning when you going in the direction that if you want to get to Market Hill, there was a long four cross back in the day that
Yeah.
a lot of accidents used to occur. A lot of people lost their lives out there. And it was only when they decided that, all right, well, enough people dead, let me build a roundabout there. You know, recently, no, I saw it myself that they're putting stoplights out there by Scion Hill. That four cross that has been pretty dangerous out
Yeah.
there. They finally get chance to deal with that.
Well, I
My
ain't
reason
coming
for
after
saying that
them.
we are reactive, yeah, that's the reason why that I let some people know, because everybody don't travel them roads.
Yeah.
But what I am saying to you is that we are a reactive society. We do not think proactively and we do not think innovatively because we always behind the curve with this thing. Tell me why we moved from sugarcane being the number one creator of or generator of finance in the island to move over to tourism, and then we have not in the background while tourism was the thing that gave me food. Why weren't we looking at other avenues and exploring other avenues to create and generate money so that we don't have to depend on any one dynamic to create and sustain our own country? You understand what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
it is very what's the word looking for? It's so heartbreaking when we see a situation like this occur. It basically took COVID to show us that we are moving too like scantily. We ain't moving like if we really developing, We like that word, or we's a developing country, but we are not showing these people that we looking to develop because we still depending on everybody for some contribution for this island to stay afloat. Literally. So how can we move away from this? We gotta get the youngsters thinking. We gotta get the youngsters involved and coming up with ideas, innovative ideas to get money coming to this island outside of tourism. Because as far as I'm concerned, the older people who hold all these positions for 15, 20 years ain't doing nothing. All they're doing is recycling the same protocols in different packaging and giving it back to the people. So the same way how BLP upon DLP, but this, all they're doing is recycling the same manifesto crap and giving it in a fancier box that a little longer this time rather than taller. That's all it is. So
Mm.
I don't buy into this thing. As far as I am concerned, we need innovative thinkers. We need innovative minds working on finding ways to make us more viable to ourselves.
Well, the way you
You
say
understand?
innovative minds, right? And I understand and I get you, bro. Like, I respect that 100%. But the same innovative minds that we are speaking of at the moment, seeing how things are the way they are right now, let us think of innovative ways to make this COVID thing work for us. COVID is bad, yeah, it's the disease
Ain't
and
going
what's not
nowhere though.
bad.
Ain't
But at
going
the
nowhere.
same
This
time,
we gotta learn to
we
live with
gotta look,
this, like
but
any other thing.
we gotta look at the positives in the situation. We gotta look at what we can make work for us. The innovative minds can help make or develop technology to assist with COVID in Barbados.
Uh-huh.
Whether it be machinery or what's not to do detection or help create stuff local. Because you know we have a lot of creative minds in Barbados, and the
Yeah,
country reopening. Don't we get away from that? The country reopening, and we need to be on regard. So
for sure.
Canada, when July 12th is, the 12th is like is this
That's next week.
that's
That's
next
next
week.
week. Yeah, today is the ninth. That's
Now we're trying to
basically
show you.
3 days from now, brother.
Now we're trying to show you. So it's like the 12th will be here just now. Flight starting back. We gotta be on regard. I don't feel like we on the front foot right now to this tourism thing.
Okay.
I need to
Okay.
know that I need to feel that the country at a point where we have a strong process in place to combat COVID and to still maintain a level of service and to encourage people to come back to Barbados after they leave during this COVID period. Because people in
Right.
COVID, everybody will be like, yo, this person from overseas. The person might not got COVID, but be this. I know all the wrongest, but he
Yeah.
probably got COVID. We can't remember the word in the world. We get treat the person a sorry because we think they got COVID. That's not, and we not gonna maintain the level of service that we would maintain on a regular day or
uh,
through COVID. But we still gotta maintain a level of service to keep people coming back to Barbados. That's the thing. So we got to be ahead of the ball. I don't feel right
uh-huh.
now to be ahead of the ball for the reopening. I don't have a problem with the country reopening, put it that way, because I know that we desperately need the country to reopen for so
Right.
many factors to profit, but we definitely need to be ahead of the game because we won't slip
Uh-huh.
up, and close that Barbados is, close that Barbados is, and
Yeah, we
won't
would
slip
just
up.
get wiped out quick, that's all. If we really don't do it, like you were talking about the deaths in Canada. Either the deaths in Canada is like a drop of water entering the ocean because they have millions of people. So
Yeah,
like if for example 5,000 people was to die in Barbados, oh man, we can feel that hard. You understand what I'm saying?
yeah.
We will feel it hard. So for us, those numbers are what we definitely need to avoid. And in order to avoid it, we need to have proper protocols in place to protect ourselves as individuals of this society. Because we gotta understand, we did the hard work, we made the sacrifice, and we pulled ourselves through it without any assistance from abroad. Well, don't let me say that. That the it was the Colombian nurses that came in and and they did a
No,
really
not
good job.
Colombia,
It's going to
not
take some
Colombia,
revenue
not
major though.
Colombia, Cuba,
Or
Cuba.
Cuban, man. Look, my all
Nah.
speak Spanish, so we ain't done right. So we ain't done.
Hmm.
My apologies. The Cuban nurses.
You want to bring something else besides nurses.
My boy, listen, the brand you might brand like a shit sometimes is a C word and is a country, so it a meant thing. But thanks for the
Yeah.
correction. We basically pulled ourselves out of that situation, a very negative situation that could have been a lot worse, and we pulled ourselves out of it, and we gotta give us all of ourselves a pat on the back for it. What we need to do now more than ever is recognize that this is a brand new a brand new level. Think of it as like a video game. It's a brand new level. They're gonna
Hmm.
got a lot of unknowns. They're gonna got a lot of known unknowns and unknown unknowns. I don't know if you
Yeah.
get that reference. That come from off what the picture, you know? I can't remember. My look, my brain like a second like mine, but we have to mentally, physically prepare for this situation that's going this brand new situation that's going to be upon us in a matter of days. This is literally the last weekend before the country reopens,
Yeah.
and it is going to take on a brand new scale and perspective based off of a whole bunch of people from countries who are still dealing with the pandemic coming into our borders. And speaking on borders, we also need to remember that the Prime Minister's move regarding the cruise ships when everybody else had their borders closed was strategic, right?
Yeah.
But
Agreed.
we got to try to figure out because, I believe that that was to buy some goodwill and to get Barbados
Yeah, it was
on
common
register
sense.
for a lot of them ships
It was smart
for
thinking.
when the season pick back up.
Cause when
But
you
this
see
is
them
it.
pick back up,
There's the thing here now. But
you
there's
know
the
what I
thing
mean?
here now. This is the thing here now, Peter, because we have all had instances personally. As a man that I like to look at things from a regular perspective rather than far out. So rather than we look at it that way, let me look at it as how you and I are friends.
Mm.
You were saying no, Peter, with Chad man saying wrong my vehicle, I need to borrow yours. And I would tell you, all right, no problem, Keita. You don't know you could handle things. You get the vehicle. But then no, you vehicle start back out and you good to go get back money. Then mine give a problem. And I said, Keita boy, you'll never believe this thing here so happen. And I need to borrow your car. There's no guarantee that my good gesture and my goodwill will make you give it back to me. So we have to hope that this goodwill gesture that we did turns into money. You
But
understand?
child,
We gonna hope it turns into some physical
it has
dollars.
to. And furthermore, I put that in the atmosphere because I tell you what, life and death.
Uh-huh.
And when you are
Uh-huh.
desperate and you have nowhere to go, them is the people you remember. I sure when you were in a
Right.
very, very desperate spot, and you
Uh-huh.
had nowhere to go, and somebody helped you or assist you in any way, that person you remember because that was a good experience. And Barbados gave a lot of people good experiences in regards to that, right? Um,
Wait, you see that said
cruise ship,
boondocks.
yeah. So
So
let's do
he
that.
said it was the boondocks. And he said it's a C word, or Mystic Rose said it's a C word, and it's like my man should have reasoned the carousel nurses. Look, just forgive me for that one. Don't create the memes off of that one. I beg one.
Yeah, I know they can create memes for sure. But anyways, but the cruise lanes, even yesterday, the largest cruise lane in the world was outside the coast of Barbados. That was a spectacle. The largest cruise lane in the world was on our coast
Uh-huh.
yesterday. I
Right.
think that with the prime minister making that decision, it will impact tourism going forward. Because
Uh-huh.
I thinking I can't say for sure, but I know that a gesture like that cannot go unnoticed or unseen. And I think that we should really applaud the Prime Minister for sure for doing that because I
Uh-huh.
can see that in the future as being a big tourism earner because look at all these other places that they're supposed to be their so-called allies and some of that said, nah, though, you can't come over here.
Listen,
Are we managing situations, huh?
I see Mr. Rose Queen saying, I waiting to see how we going to enforce our protocols, especially with people saying their human rights getting infringed upon. But let me tell you something, Mr.
10
Rose
minutes,
Queen.
Sean. 10
They,
minutes.
yeah, they gonna need to left over here. If it is they can come in and follow the protocols, they can go left over here because the truth is, like I was saying before, the US, the UK, and Canada formally said that they men allowing no Americans in, right? Even though that we all know that, just like how they say, they got Beijing in every country, you don't know they got America, an American almost everywhere.
Yeah, for sure.
They have the clout, the power and the influence to do that in terms of saying that, or when I need to follow, we don't mind letting when I in, but when I got to follow our protocols, I believe that we need to do the same because at the end of it all, yes, we want one to come in, but we don't want one to come in and kill we though. So
Yeah.
follow the protocols or left boat here. It's really that simple. I don't see it as being nothing else. And if people going out and seeing these foreigners doing as they like, accost them.
Report
Ask
it.
them, wait, is that you're wearing a mask? Report. You right,
Call Chris
report it.
Copper, something.
Right.
Something.
That's it.
I don't know if that's the right protocol, but just
I
stay
and
focused.
I Gibbsy down here so says something that's true because when I know if you remember when the curfew went off in the sea in terms of the 6 to 9 and then the 4:30 to 6, the 4 to 6:30 thing.
Mm-hmm.
When that was, I think that was the Monday it come back in, or no, the Tuesday. So the Tuesday I
Mm-hmm.
went to the beach and I saw those cruise ships and I was like, yo, the
So
cruise ships
much.
look so sweet, but they look like the background didn't look real. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because
It looked
because
too.
of how far it is, how far the cruise ships are, because they're huge,
Yeah.
and it'll look like if it was a painted
A
background.
painting. Yeah.
Is be a sight. Is look like a sight to behold for sure. So
Correct.
I just
Correct.
going based off of these comments. I gotta scroll down.
Correct.
We allow them to know just like everybody else that you gotta check. So if you decide you come in, can't disrespect the order, pat them back to them. Where
Uh,
I like how the
in a
people
nicer
move.
way
I
than
like
that,
how,
but yeah, like,
but
but
that's how we
don't
gotta do it.
violate, don't disrespect. Like, I mean, but we also can't be as locals. We need to
Mm,
enforce the hand washing, remind everybody to wear a mask, and the usual protocol that we have in place. We know we
yeah,
got to keep our social distance, but at the same
right,
time, offer consistent service. I don't get on as though you're scoring a person. That way, trying to say earlier, I could not
right,
remember the word
right.
scoring. Don't score a
Okay.
person. You know what I mean? We got tourism is still everybody's business,
Our business. Let's
but
play our part.
correct, correct.
So
Tourism is
GIS
everybody's
want me for
business.
this ad hour. GIS
Yeah,
want me for that ad hour.
I could have
Yeah,
walked me this morning.
tell the show we. But
Up
what I'm
inside.
saying to
Show me
everybody,
up inside here.
but what I can tell everybody is we need to recognize that this is for everybody to be involved in. We cannot play that role of, oh, I'm saying nothing to them because nobody ain't calling my name. We need to be our brother's keeper. And when I say our brother's keeper, I mean of Barbados. So when the people come in, like how we just ease the rules or bend the rules to please them because they're spending money, we can't afford to do that right now. We gotta let them know, listen, I
Yo,
understand that y'all coming from over there where this don't happen, but here in Barbados, this is how we
this is
do
what's
it
going
because
on.
this ain't a joke thing. And you talk to them and let them know, and think it
And let
disrespecting you
disrespect
or nothing,
or
but
whatever,
you
but
need to
this is true.
understand. You need to understand this is the reality of what's going on right now. You exposing um lives to possible loss with your ignorance. So you need to sort out yourself. Things like that is what we need to do. And that reminds me of the video that I actually saw this evening of that situation with the boy that they say is Corbin's son when the
I
girl
ain't
was
getting into
littering
that.
on the beach or
I ain't
something.
getting into
So
that because we know that was another story for another time. And
right, yeah,
that was a whole bag of words for another episode. But
you know.
we will talk about that another time.
Right.
And
And you know you ready. You know he's
I ain't
ready
getting
for
into
them,
the
bro.
I ain't getting into no
You know he
racism or the
hold me
classism
back,
right now.
Keita, hold me back.
I
So
go
I'm
I
ready
go
for
way
that
back. You
shit.
see me how right? You see me how right? You see me how right? You see me how
I'm
Nah,
ready for that, sorry.
I ain't getting
Action.
into no racism or the classism for me for sure. But the truth is, I want people of Barbados before we go. I want people of Barbados to remember that tourism is still a major part, even though we would love to get the country out of it and be in different sectors. Tourism is still a major part of Barbados. We need to play our part. We still gotta welcome the tourists. We still gotta keep the surroundings clean. We still gotta do all that, and we need the tourism sector back for sure for this country to even take another step further. Continue to wash your hands, continue to wear your mask, social distance, all of that. But I just want people to know that, please, and I probably sound like a stat record, but tourism is everybody's business.
Body's business. Let's play our part.
For
And help
sure.
them to remember, another thing. There is never a dull moment in Barbados. You know what I'm saying? We gonna tell them. We gonna make them come back and have a good time and everything, but just respect the order of how things go. And I believe that we can be all right, man. We're recording.
You said before we go, before we wrap up, where the nurses from? Right. Curacao, Colombia, or Cuba?
Cuba. 300.
I can let record
so dangerous. Record so dangerous. Man said we in Barbados, start we in Curacao. When the men let go, I want to talk about. We're gonna get something when the door let go.
Nah, man. But all in all, though, I at the beginning of the conversation, it didn't dawn on me like all the different aspects of people who were out of work, and it no dawn on me like how much different aspects will come back to work based on tourism. I know the first couple of flights might be shaky because you don't know what people on the flights. We know go get climatized to interacting with people that coming from overseas or coming back from overseas. People that get quarantined. You might see somebody at a hotel or institution that you see the white van or the van pull up and carry away from over there, and you go act normal. You can't be panicking. No, and it can take a little while to get adjusted. So I just hope that things pan out the way that we really want them to pan out, and that things consistently, and we got to be consistent with the level of service as well as from our end as a Bajan to protect ourselves against anything that could happen.
Well, I got a lot of trust in the Barbadian community. Like I said, we beat this thing before by doing what we had to do for ourselves and for each other. And I know that the resilience of the Barbadian community is going to show itself again, and we are going to be able to adjust to what we have to adjust to, because we all knew at some point in time the government had to reopen the borders because we are dependent on such a thing. Yeah, big up Trident Cuts book there. So yeah, man, #1 sponsor.
And you can be a sponsor too. Yeah. Call us or email us or DM us on AG at UpInsideYuh, or you can use our email address UpInsideYuh@gmail.com. But I think we can wrap up now because we got like 2 minutes
tell left. Fashion Nova give you a call.
Yeah, I ready to wear some Fashion Nova clothes.
Fashion Nova men's. Yeah. I was working for my poses and I think like every year and then went in the park crossfire. So you know I ready for the photo shoots and everything. So I just said let me wrap up and let the people go and enjoy the remainder of the Thursday. You stopping one tonight or are you going out?
Yeah, it's not
a curfew.
Nah,
I feel like I start one though.
I got work tomorrow, sir.
Yeah.
I want to say good night, folks. I hope everybody continue to stay safe. It's been a great episode. Right. If you have any queries or any suggestions for the next episode, feel free to drop us a DM or email us at UpInsideYuh@gmail.com, or you can DM any of us on Instagram. My man Chad Cheer, Keita 246, Ramal, push repeat. Or the UpInsideYuh page, you can DM us. So I just want to say a pleasant good night and I hope everybody continues to stay safe. Anything for you, Chad?
Yeah, man.